In just 7 minutes, you're about to hear some of the most shocking revelations from Joe Rogan's explosive conversation with UFO expert Jacques Vallée. We're talking about government-funded psychic spies, classified military projects using remote viewing, and UFO technology so advanced it makes our best fighter jets look like toys. And here's the kicker. Governments know more than they're telling us. Let's dive into 10 mind-blowing takeaways from this must-watch episode of the Joe Rogan Experience. Takeaway 1. The U.S. government has studied psychic abilities. The U.S. government has secretly spent millions researching psychic abilities, specifically remote viewing, the ability to see places and objects without actually being there. They brought in self-proclaimed psychics and gave them random coordinates to see if they could describe what was at those locations. The results? Disturbingly accurate. For example, Joe McMoneagle, one of the best remote viewers, was given the coordinates of a top-secret Soviet facility. He described a massive submarine being built in a landlocked hangar with no water nearby. The U.S. Navy laughed at him, saying it was impossible, until they realized he was right. The Soviets were planning to dig a canal to launch it. If psychic spying is nonsense, why did the government spend millions on it? And it gets weirder. Takeaway 2. Remote viewing successfully located lost spacecraft. The U.S. wasn't just using psychics for spying. They were using them to track down lost spacecraft. When a Soviet space probe crashed somewhere in Africa, intelligence agencies had no idea where to look. So they turned to remote viewers. These psychics described a dense jungle, a river nearby, and something metallic hidden in the trees. A search team was sent in, and boom, there it was. How did they know? Just luck or something else? And then the military took things to a dangerous new level. Takeaway 3. The military explored launching weapons based on remote viewing. Here's where things get terrifying. The military didn't just want to see enemy targets with remote viewing. They wanted to destroy them. The idea? Use psychic spies to locate enemy bases, then launch weapons at them. But there was a problem: accuracy. Sometimes remote viewing worked shockingly well. Other times it failed completely. If they got the wrong coordinates, they could end up bombing the wrong country. Even Vallée himself tried remote viewing. He was given random coordinates and suddenly felt freezing cold, dizzy, and terrified. Turns out the location was a mountaintop in the Andes. It worked, but was too unpredictable to risk using in warfare. But that didn't stop the military from trying something even crazier. Takeaway 4. Some top scientists had out-of-body experiences. It's not just psychics. Even elite scientists have had bizarre experiences. Jacques Vallée shared the story of Federico Faggin, the inventor of the microprocessor, who claimed to have had out-of-body experiences while working on his designs. He said his consciousness left his body, allowing him to see ideas from a completely different perspective. One time he had a vision of a new circuit design, wrote it down when he came back, and guess what? It worked. Could this explain how breakthroughs happen? And if that's not crazy enough, governments know that UFOs are real, and they still cover it up. Takeaway 5. Governments dismiss UFO sightings despite real evidence. 95% of UFO sightings? Easily explained. But the remaining 5%? Absolutely unexplainable. For example, in the 1950s, a French Air Force pilot chased a mysterious object that performed impossible maneuvers. Radar operators tracked it going thousands of miles per hour, then shooting straight up into space. The official explanation? Pilot hallucination, even though radar data confirmed everything. And if that's not proof enough? Takeaway 6. Advanced civilizations could be thousands of years ahead. If aliens exist, they might be thousands of years ahead of us technologically. Imagine a civilization that mastered anti-gravity, invisibility, or interdimensional travel. For example, today's fighter jets rely on jet engines and aerodynamics, but an advanced civilization could have gravity-defying crafts that can hover, accelerate instantly, or vanish into thin air. Sounds impossible. So did airplanes 500 years ago. And UFOs aren't just flying around. They're leaving behind physical evidence. Takeaway 7. Some UFO sightings involve strange physical materials. One of the weirdest UFO encounters happened in Iowa in 1977. A UFO was spotted hovering over a public park, and then Half a ton of molten metal fell from it, setting the grass on fire. Emergency responders arrived to find the metal still glowing, red hot. Chemical tests revealed strange elements not common in industrial steel. The Air Force? We have no idea where it came from. And this isn't the only strange event. Takeaway 8. Some people seem to have unexplained psychic abilities. Vallée and Rogan discussed a shocking discovery. Some nonverbal autistic children seem to have telepathic abilities. In experiments, these children were placed in separate rooms from an observer who was looking at random objects, numbers, or images. The children, who had never spoken before, correctly identified what the observer was seeing, over and over again. If telepathy isn't real, then what's happening here? Takeaway 9. Ancient civilizations believed in psychic visions. Throughout history, kings and generals have relied on psychics and visions to make decisions. The Greeks had the Oracle of Delphi, who entered trances and made predictions. Roman generals consulted priests before going to war. And today, we mock those ideas. But maybe ancient civilizations knew something we forgot. And that brings us to the final, and most important, takeaway. Takeaway 10. Science is too rigid to study certain phenomena. Vallée says the biggest problem is that science ignores anything that doesn't fit its current theories. For example, France has an official government program that investigates UFOs. They've collected detailed reports, radar data, and even physical evidence. But most scientists refuse to study it, not because the evidence is weak, but because they're afraid of being ridiculed. So what do you think? Are psychic abilities real? Has the government covered up what they know about UFOs? Let's talk in the comments. And hey, if you want more deep dive podcast breakdowns like this, hit that subscribe button. Because trust me, this is just the beginning.